Have you ever had a day so ordinary that you never expected something remarkable to happen? One small action, a split-second decision, can spark a chain of events you never see coming. Today, we'll explore such a story, featuring Barron Trump and his father, Donald Trump, in a heartfelt lesson on compassion and gratitude. Where are you watching from? Share in the comments below, and be sure to hit subscribe for more inspiring stories like this. Welcome to Motivation for Success, the channel where we uncover life-changing tales that remind us of the power of kindness, humility, and second chances. Stay with us to see how a simple good deed turned an unassuming day into a life-altering experience for everyone involved. It was a mild afternoon at Burger Haven, a popular fast food spot on Greenway Avenue. The sky outside was partially overcast, with sunlight occasionally peeking through the clouds. A gentle breeze ruffled the nearby trees, sending leaves tumbling across the sidewalk. Inside Burger Haven, the overhead lights buzzed softly, and the scent of sizzling patties and fresh fries filled the air. Despite the allure of the menu, business was slow, and only a handful of customers lingered at the tables. At the cash register stood Leah Brown, a 20-year-old college student juggling a part-time job to help pay her tuition. She wore the standard Burger Haven uniform, black polo, visor, and name badge pinned to her chest, her hair tucked neatly in a low ponytail. She had just finished assembling an order for a regular customer and was about to wipe down the counter when the door slid open and a tall figure stepped inside. Leah glanced up and spotted a young man entering the restaurant. He was tall, perhaps around her age, with a calm but slightly anxious demeanor. She couldn't help but notice that his outfit, a crisp dress shirt and pressed slacks, seemed out of place in this casual setting. As he approached, he slid his hands into his pockets, looking momentarily flustered. Leah greeted him with a warm smile. "Welcome to Burger Haven. How can I help you today?" The young man gave a polite nod. "May I get the classic burger meal with fries and a soda, please?" Leah tapped his order into the register. "That'll be $9.75. He reached into his right pocket, then his left. A flicker of confusion passed over his features. After a brief pause, his cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry," he said quietly. "I think I left my wallet at home. Let me just check one more place." He fumbled through the pockets of his dress shirt and pants, but there was nothing. Leah could practically feel his distress. She'd seen customers forget their wallets before, but for some reason, her intuition told her this scenario was different. Leah glanced at the nearly empty restaurant. No one else stood in line, and the manager was busy in the back office. She took a quick breath and made a spur-of-the-moment decision. Without fanfare, she grabbed her own bank card from under the register and swiped it, covering the cost of his meal. Then she gently pushed a tray toward him. "Don't worry about it," she said with a comforting smile. "Enjoy your meal. It happens to everyone once in a while." For a moment, the young man stood speechless. His eyes widened, and he gazed at her as if trying to form words. Eventually, he managed a quiet, "Thank you." He looked down at the tray, then back at her, seemingly torn between gratitude and disbelief. "It's no big deal," Leah assured him. She felt a hint of warmth in her cheeks. "Really?" The young man swallowed hard, gave a small nod, and took the tray. He found a table near the corner, occasionally glancing back at Leah with a mixture of admiration and wonder. Little did she know that this seemingly routine interaction would send ripples far beyond the modest walls of Burger Haven. Once the young man left, Leah resumed her tasks, wiping down counters and refilling the soda machine. She had no idea that the customer she had just assisted was Barron Trump, the son of Donald Trump. Unbeknownst to Leah, Barron had ventured out that day on his own, momentarily separated from his security detail. Eager for a slice of normalcy, he had taken a quick detour to grab a burger, only to discover he'd forgotten his wallet. In the days that followed, Leah thought little of the moment. She served dozens of other customers, closed her shifts, and hurried back to her apartment to study for upcoming college exams. Yet, a quiet curiosity lingered in the back of her mind. Who was that polite, flustered young man? Meanwhile, across town, Barron Trump returned to his family's estate, let's call it Hillview residence, still replaying the encounter in his head. He couldn't forget the kindness shown by the cashier at Burger Haven, a stranger who spent her own money to buy him a meal without judging or hesitating. One late evening, Barron sat in his father's study. The space was grand and richly decorated, with dark wooden bookshelves lined from floor to ceiling. Overhead, a chandelier cast a warm glow. Donald Trump was reviewing documents at a large mahogany desk, occasionally jotting notes or making phone calls. Barron, seated on a leather armchair, fidgeted with the corner of a book he was pretending to read. Eventually, he spoke up. "Dad, I wanted to tell you something about last week." Donald Trump looked up, adjusting his glasses. "Sure, Barron. What's on your mind?" Barron recounted the Burger Haven incident, from forgetting his wallet to the cashier's immediate generosity. As he described how she paid for his meal, Donald Trump's expression shifted from neutrality to genuine interest. By the time Barron finished, Trump leaned back in his chair and folded his arms. "So, she helped you with no expectation of a reward?" Trump asked. "Yes," Barron replied, a hint of admiration in his voice. "And she never made me feel embarrassed. She just took care of it." Donald Trump nodded slowly. "It's rare to meet someone willing to do something purely out of kindness. We should do something for her in return." Barron's eyes lit up. "I was hoping you'd say that." Donald Trump wasted no time. He contacted a small team of trusted personnel, instructing them to keep the operation discreet. He wanted to surprise the young cashier, not turn the gesture into a spectacle. Barron, excited by the prospect, volunteered to help. Together, they gathered information. The young woman's name was Leah Brown, a college student who worked part-time at Burger Haven. They also discovered that she was facing financial challenges, juggling tuition, rent, and family obligations. "I want to give her a hand, Dad," Barron said. "No big press events, just a sincere thank you." Trump agreed. He arranged for a scholarship fund to be set up in Leah's name, enough to ease her college burdens. He also had an idea, a personal visit. It would be a low-key affair, but a powerful one, ensuring Leah knew how much her generosity meant. Days turned into a week. Leah's routine remained the same: classes in the morning, a quick lunch, then off to Burger Haven for her afternoon shift. On a late Thursday morning, she was prepping the front counter, stocking cups and lids, when her manager approached her with a curious smile. "Leah, do me a favor and tidy up the dining area, would you? We might have some VIP visitors soon." Leah raised an eyebrow. Burger Haven wasn't exactly the place for high-profile guests, but she shrugged and complied. She wiped tables, swept the floor, and made sure the condiment station was spotless. It felt a bit over the top, but she took pride in a job done well. Shortly after noon, a trio of sleek, black SUVs pulled into the parking lot. At first, Leah paid them little attention, until she noticed several suited individuals stepping out. They moved toward the restaurant doors, scanning the area, and then, almost casually, Barron Trump appeared beside them, followed by Donald Trump himself. The clamor of customers died down as everyone's eyes landed on the newcomers. A hush fell over the typically bustling Burger Haven. Leah, in mid-sentence with a customer, felt her words catch in her throat. There, standing just a few feet away, was Barron Trump, the young man she had helped, and Donald Trump, the business mogul and former president. One of the suits stepped forward, addressing the staff. "Is Leah Brown here?" Leah felt a wave of nerves flood her. She raised her hand slightly. "I'm Leah," she managed, her voice surprisingly steady. Donald Trump smiled, nodding in her direction. "Leah Brown, we've been looking forward to meeting you properly." Barron stepped forward, holding a small bouquet of flowers in his hands. His cheeks reddened a bit under the curious stares of onlookers. "I'm not sure if you remember me," he said, trying to keep his voice casual, "but you helped me out last week when I forgot my wallet. I wanted to thank you again in person." Leah was momentarily speechless. The entire restaurant seemed to have pressed pause, every customer and coworker hanging on the scene. She managed a shy nod, her mind whirling. "Of course I remember," she said. "But it was really no big deal." Donald Trump cleared his throat, offering Leah a warm smile. "That small gesture meant a great deal to my son, and to me. People don't always show compassion when they have nothing to gain. You demonstrated a quality we value immensely." He motioned for one of the suited individuals to step forward. The man handed Leah a carefully sealed envelope. Inside, Trump explained, "You'll find a scholarship covering your remaining tuition at your college, along with a little extra for books and related expenses." Leah's mouth dropped open. She clutched the envelope, tears forming in her eyes. I don't know what to say." Barron gently handed her the bouquet of flowers. "Just say you'll keep being the kind person you are. That's all we ask." Applause broke out among the onlookers. A few people cheered, others snapped photos or recorded videos of the moment. Leah, feeling the warm flush of gratitude and disbelief, mustered a trembling smile. "This is incredible," she finally managed. "I never expected anything like this. Thank you." Donald Trump gave a slight nod, a calm confidence in his posture. "You earned it by simply doing the right thing, when you thought no one was watching." Leah blinked back tears. "I promise I'll make the most of it. I won't waste this opportunity." As quickly as they had arrived, Barron and Donald Trump began to make their way toward the door, flanked by their security detail. But before stepping out, Barron turned one last time, met Leah's gaze, and smiled. Leah waved softly, her heart still pounding in her chest. The moment the SUVs pulled out of the Burger Haven parking lot, the restaurant erupted with chatter. Customers rushed to congratulate Leah, while her coworkers crowded around for details. Some recognized Donald Trump instantly, others only now pieced together the significance of Barron Trump's presence. "Leah, this is insane. How do you feel?" asked one coworker, practically bouncing with excitement. I'm stunned," Leah admitted. "I never guessed that guy was Barron Trump." The rest of her shift passed in a blur. Between orders, Leah fielded questions from curious onlookers and the occasional local reporter who'd gotten wind of the surprise visit. By evening, social media was buzzing. A friend tagged Leah in a post, "Local college students' kindness rewarded, Barron and Donald Trump make a surprise visit." It was surreal, to say the least. Leah arrived home late, flopped onto her bed, and stared at the sealed envelope in her hands. She still couldn't believe it. Inside was not just money for school, but also a handwritten note from Barron. It read, "Thank you for your kindness. Sometimes, the smallest gestures mean the most. Best of luck on your journey. Keep shining." With the scholarship guaranteeing her next semester's tuition, Leah felt a wave of relief wash over her. She wouldn't need to scramble between part-time jobs to cover bills anymore. She could reduce her hours at Burger Haven and dedicate more time to her studies, aiming to excel in her chosen major, communications. In the following days, Leah found herself daydreaming about her future. Perhaps she could intern at a local news station. Maybe she could even look beyond her city for opportunities, studying abroad or venturing into a media career with more confidence. The possibilities felt endless, all thanks to a moment of spontaneous generosity. She also realized that she was now, in some small way, connected to Barron Trump. The story, while not widely covered by mainstream media, was a local sensation. Friends and strangers alike messaged her, sharing how they were inspired by the incident. Many wrote that they felt encouraged to perform random acts of kindness in their own communities. Meanwhile, back at Hillview residence, Barron relaxed in one of the estate's sunlit parlors, reading the daily paper. A discreet article mentioned the visit to Burger Haven, applauding Leah Brown's selfless action. He couldn't help but smile. Donald Trump entered the room, catching sight of the newspaper. "Reading about your new friend?" he teased, sitting down opposite Barron. Barron chuckled. "I guess so. It's just refreshing to see that kind of warmth. People tend to be cynical sometimes." Donald Trump nodded. "True, but we can counteract cynicism with genuine gratitude, and real support for those who display kindness." Barron set the paper aside, thoughtful. "Dad, do you think we should follow up with her? You know, make sure she's okay, or see if she needs any other help." Trump considered the question. "We could, yes. But sometimes, it's best to let people grow on their own. If she needs us, we can find a way to be there. For now, I believe we've given her the tools to succeed. The rest is in her hands." Barron nodded, satisfied with the answer, yet still hopeful he might cross paths with Leah again one day. Leah poured her newfound energy into school. With part of her scholarship already applied to tuition, she tackled her textbooks and homework with renewed vigor. Her professors noticed an extra spark in her class participation. She even found the courage to sign up for a student-led initiative called Random Acts of Care, aimed at promoting small but meaningful gestures of kindness around campus. During a weekly meeting for the program, Leah stood up and shared her story, how she helped a customer at her workplace without realizing who he was, and how that single moment changed her life. The gathered students listened in awe. When she finished, the room buzzed with inspired discussion, brainstorming ways to uplift others through simple acts. One student proposed a free coffee day, where they'd pool their funds to pay for random coffee orders around campus. Another suggested a study buddy drive, pairing volunteer tutors with underclassmen who were struggling academically. Leah smiled at the flurry of ideas, heartened by the chain reaction her small gesture had sparked. A few weeks later, Leah was in the midst of final exam preparations when she received a phone call from an unknown number. She hesitated but answered. To her surprise, it was one of Donald Trump's assistants, expressing that both Donald and Barron Trump would be attending a charitable gala in a nearby city, and they wondered if Leah would like to come as an honored guest. "We'd love to have you speak briefly about your experience," the assistant explained. "Nothing formal, just a short reflection on kindness." Leah's eyes widened. She glanced at her cluttered desk, filled with notes and textbooks. Could she manage it with exams approaching? After a moment's thought, she agreed. This was a rare opportunity she might never get again, a chance to share her story on a bigger stage. The evening of the gala arrived sooner than she expected. Leah wore a simple but elegant dress she had borrowed from a friend. Her heart pounded as she approached the tall, opulent building where the event was being held. Crystal chandeliers gleamed through the lobby windows, and a red carpet led the way inside. She made her way through the crowd, eventually spotting Barron and Donald Trump, both dressed in formal suits. They greeted her warmly. Barron introduced her to a handful of attendees, philanthropists, community organizers, and even a few local celebrities. Many nodded appreciatively upon hearing her tale, commending her for acting without any expectation of recognition. When it was Leah's turn to speak, she stepped onto a small, raised platform. A microphone stood before her, and rows of seats extended across the room. Her stomach fluttered, but she recalled the encouragement she'd received from so many people. She took a breath. "My name is Leah Brown," she began, her voice firm. "A few weeks ago, I was just a college student working at Burger Haven, trying to cover my bills. One afternoon, I paid for a stranger's meal because I saw he was in a bind. That's it, no deeper motive than wanting to help. Little did I know that stranger was Barron Trump, and that one moment would completely alter the course of my life." She went on to explain how Donald Trump and Barron had shown gratitude far beyond anything she ever expected, how they gifted her a scholarship, enabling her to dream bigger. The crowd applauded, touched by the sincerity of her words. "I believe all of us can be that person for someone else," Leah concluded. "It doesn't take money or fame, it just takes a willingness to see someone's need and meet it without asking for anything in return." Leah stepped down from the platform to resounding applause, her cheeks hot but her spirit glowing. Barron Trump met her at the bottom step, offering a grin that was both proud and relieved. "You were great," he said. "Thank you for sharing that so openly." Donald Trump approached as well, shaking her hand. "Well done, Leah. Never doubt the impact of honesty and compassion." Throughout the rest of the evening, people approached her with stories of their own. One woman explained how she had once been stranded after her car broke down, and a passing motorist paid for her tow truck. Another man spoke about a teacher who personally funded his school supplies back when he couldn't afford them. Leah was amazed to see how these accounts connected everyone, simple acts bridging gaps between strangers. When the gala ended, Barron and Leah found themselves chatting by the large marble fountain in front of the venue. The moon hung low, and the soft rush of water created a peaceful ambience despite the lavish surroundings. Security stood watch at a polite distance, allowing them a modicum of privacy. "Do you ever think about what might have happened if you hadn't forgotten your wallet?" Leah joked, still wearing a gentle smile. Barron laughed, shaking his head. "Honestly, no. I guess everything happens for a reason. If I'd had my wallet that day, we'd never have crossed paths." Leah's gaze shifted to the shimmering water. "It's funny how life works. One minute, you're worried about finals and paying rent, and the next, you're speaking to a crowd about kindness alongside the Trumps." Barron nodded. "I'm just grateful you were the person behind the counter that day. There are folks who might have just shrugged me off or made a scene. You didn't." Leah couldn't help but recall the smile on Barron's face when she swiped her card. It was as though all his tension dissolved in that instant. She thought about the thousands of other times she'd rung up orders without a second thought. That day, though, she'd chosen empathy, and it changed the trajectory of her life. In the weeks following the gala, Leah became more involved in her campus Random Acts of Care initiative. Inspired by how her story resonated with the public, she began organizing workshops that encouraged students to volunteer in their communities, whether it was visiting nursing homes, cleaning local parks, or donating clothes to shelters. She even coordinated a service project at Burger Haven, where employees decided to collect extra tips for a fund that would buy meals for people in need. Management was pleasantly surprised. The local press caught wind of these efforts and published a short article featuring Leah's photo, captioned, "Kindness Ambassador." Leah found the title both flattering and daunting. She appreciated the recognition but also felt a growing responsibility to live up to that ideal. Each day, she reminded herself not to lose sight of the simple act that started it all, paying for someone's lunch without expecting anything in return. Amid her newfound responsibilities, Leah occasionally received updates from Barron Trump by email, a short note asking how her exams were going or if the scholarship funds were covering her needs adequately. She found it heartwarming that he cared enough to stay in touch. Donald Trump, for his part, extended an invitation for Leah to consider an internship at a media outlet affiliated with one of his business ventures. He stressed it was purely an opportunity if she wanted more experience in communications. Leah politely thanked him but decided to first focus on finishing her degree. The door, however, remained open. Meanwhile, the local community's response to Leah's story grew more robust. Burger Haven's manager, moved by the positive attention, donated a portion of the franchise's monthly proceeds to community charities. Customers started paying for each other's meals in a pay-it-forward chain that sometimes lasted an entire day. Despite the excitement swirling around her, Leah had occasional doubts. Late at night, she'd lie awake thinking, was I just lucky? Would life have gone differently if that moment hadn't happened? These questions sometimes made her uneasy, as if she might be living on borrowed goodwill. Yet each morning, she reminded herself of her own agency. She'd been the one who acted. The fact Barron Trump turned out to be someone influential was a bonus. If I can replicate that kindness for others, maybe I can create my own luck, she reasoned. The answer came in the form of more volunteer projects, more campus initiatives, and continued sincerity in how she treated her customers at Burger Haven. She realized the best way to dispel doubt was through consistent action. Over time, her fleeting insecurities gave way to a quiet conviction: we make the world kinder one choice at a time. Weeks later, Leah received another call from Donald Trump's assistant. This time, the invitation involved a youth leadership forum in the city, where business leaders, politicians, and philanthropic organizations were collaborating to encourage civic engagement among young people. Barron would also be attending, and it seemed they wanted Leah's perspective on the importance of everyday compassion. Leah accepted with cautious excitement. This was yet another chance to share her story, maybe even inspire others to realize how a small gesture can lead to larger waves of change. She was nervous but also determined. Held at an upscale convention center, the youth forum featured panels on entrepreneurship, community service, and personal development. Leah walked into a grand hall teeming with attendees, students from nearby universities, local entrepreneurs, and a smattering of media personalities. She spotted Barron Trump near the front, talking with a group of young adults. He greeted her with a cheerful wave. "Leah. Glad you made it." She joined the group, introduced herself, and found that many recognized her name. Word of her story had spread in certain circles. The forum's organizers asked her to participate in a breakout session titled "Turning Compassion into Action," where she would share how her single decision altered her life path. Leah's breakout session drew a sizable crowd. Students filled the chairs, and some sat cross-legged on the floor. The moderator asked Leah to recount the Burger Haven incident. Although she'd shared it before, each retelling felt meaningful. She emphasized that acts of kindness aren't about seeking reward, they're about treating each other as human beings, worthy of respect and care. One student raised his hand. "What would you say to someone who thinks kindness is overrated, that people just take advantage of you if you're too nice?" Leah paused. "I'd say kindness isn't about being naive. It's a conscious choice. Sometimes people might take advantage, yes. But the positive impact on those who genuinely need that kindness far outweighs the risks. And let's not forget, you never know who's watching, or who might pay your kindness forward." Her answer spurred a flurry of follow-up questions, all of which Leah handled with calm sincerity. Barron, who had been standing in the back of the room, looked on with a quiet smile. He appeared proud of her growth, her confidence, and her unwavering commitment to the principle that had changed both their lives. Just as the breakout session wrapped up, Donald Trump himself walked in. Attendees turned, briefly surprised by his sudden appearance. He joined the applause, nodding in approval as Leah stepped off the small stage. "Wonderful job, Leah," he said, shaking her hand. "This is exactly what the world needs, an example that big changes can start with small moments." Leah thanked him, feeling a renewed surge of gratitude. As the forum wound down, an event organizer announced an impromptu Q&A session with both Leah and Trump, moderated by a local journalist. The audience eagerly gathered around. Students, with notebooks and phones, waited for any piece of wisdom. Throughout the Q&A, Leah and Donald Trump shared the spotlight, offering differing yet complementary perspectives. She spoke from a grassroots angle about everyday empathy. He shared broader strokes on leadership and how empathy can guide powerful decisions. Barron chimed in occasionally, bridging the gap between their worlds. The synergy was undeniable. After the forum, Leah found herself exchanging contact information with other young leaders, some of whom invited her to speak at their colleges. Invitations trickled in, and while she was flattered, she remained grounded in her original motivations. College came first, and she knew she had to balance these engagements with her own responsibilities. Barron Trump gave her a friendly nudge. "You might end up famous," he teased, recalling the swirl of interest around her. Leah laughed softly. "I'm just a college student with a part-time job," she said. "Fame isn't really my goal." "Then what is?" he asked. "Leaving each place I go a little better than I found it," she replied. Barron mulled over her words, a look of genuine respect in his eyes. A month after the forum, Leah decided to drop by Burger Haven on her day off. She hadn't worked a shift in a while. Her manager gave her reduced hours so she could focus on exams. She missed the camaraderie and the sense of routine. But as she entered, she noticed something had changed. The place was bustling, with a line stretching almost to the door. She recognized a few of her co-workers rushing around. An expanded, "Pay It Forward" board hung near the entrance, where customers could post notes pledging a free meal or coffee for anyone who needed it. Countless colorful sticky notes read messages like, "For a student who forgot their wallet," or, "To the single parent who needs a break." Leah's heart swelled. She picked up a pen and wrote a note of her own. "For the next person who comes through these doors feeling anxious or alone, remember, you're never truly by yourself." She signed it quietly, hoping someone would find comfort in those words. Outside Burger Haven, Leah stood for a moment, watching people read the pledge board. A memory flashed, Barron's flustered expression when he realized he had no money, and how different the day might have been if she'd acted otherwise. The overshadowing moral of it all was that you never know where a simple good deed might lead. Throughout the ups and downs, exams, part-time shifts, budding leadership roles, Leah discovered a deeper sense of purpose. She saw the ripple effect of kindness in her own life, and in the lives of those around her. With every wave of positivity, she felt a renewed faith in the idea that, no matter how big or small your act, you can spark real change. One weekend, Leah visited her parents in their modest home outside the city. They hadn't fully grasped the extent of her story until she showed them the scholarship letter and explained everything that had happened since the day Barron Trump walked into her workplace. Her mother's eyes brimmed with tears, hugging Leah tight. "I'm so proud of you," she whispered. "Not because the Trumps gave you this help, but because you showed compassion without a second thought." Her father, usually a man of few words, nodded. "I always believed you had it in you," he said. "Just keep that heart of yours." It felt grounding to share these moments with her family. Despite the excitement and recognition, Leah stayed humble, rooted in her parents' belief that every act of kindness is worthwhile, no matter who sees it. By now, Leah had come to understand that the story wasn't just about her generosity or the Trumps' gratitude, it was about how small, positive gestures could weave a community together. It didn't matter if you were serving at a fast food counter or occupying a position of global influence, everyone had the capacity to create moments of hope. She recalled something Barron had said at the youth forum, "In a world that can be harsh, a little bit of kindness goes a long way." He was living proof of that claim, just as she was. Their chance encounter bridged two very different worlds. Leah eventually began to articulate her own philosophy whenever people asked how she'd do it all over again. "Kindness is a choice," she'd say. "One we make in the blink of an eye. And if we keep making it, day in and day out, it becomes part of who we are." She continued volunteering at random acts of care and speaking at various community gatherings. Each time, she ended her speech with the same gentle reminder, "We're all capable of this." My story just happens to be one example, but there are countless more waiting to unfold. Though Barron Trump had a busy schedule of his own, private schooling, family commitments, and occasional public appearances, he and Leah managed to stay in touch, exchanging the occasional email or text. Sometimes they'd chat about school assignments, other times about interesting news articles they stumbled upon. Whenever Barron faced high-pressure events, Leah cheered him on, reminding him of the day he'd faced a minor crisis at Burger Haven and emerged with a lifelong friend. As for Donald Trump, he stayed informed about Leah's progress, receiving updates from Barron or his assistants. A few times a year, he sent her a brief note of encouragement, reiterating his early words, "Don't stop shining. The world needs it." And that, dear listener, brings us to the heart of this remarkable story. Sometimes, the universe orchestrates encounters we'd never plan for ourselves, positioning us to either show kindness or turn away. Leah chose kindness, reflexively, in the moment, without knowing who Barron Trump was. In doing so, she unlocked opportunities, not just for herself but for everyone around her who got to witness or hear about her gesture. Which leaves us with a question: how might you change someone's life, and your own, through one small act? The next time you see someone in need, will you hesitate, or will you seize the moment? Remember, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button for more inspiring stories like this. On our channel, Motivation for Success, we believe the best way to learn is through real-life tales that highlight empathy, resilience, and the incredible power of everyday decisions. Leah Brown's story resonates because it echoes a universal truth: big changes often begin with modest gestures. When you offer a helping hand without seeking reward, you embody the kind of humanity that can break barriers and foster unity. Whether it's paying for someone's meal, offering a shoulder to lean on, or just sharing a word of encouragement, compassion has an uncanny ability to circle back in unexpected and profound ways. Leah's act of kindness reached the attention of Barron Trump and Donald Trump, leading her down a path of newfound opportunities, friendships, and inspirations. Yet the moral extends far beyond her personal gain. It's a testament to the fact that when kindness meets gratitude, beautiful transformations can happen. We invite you to pause and consider the stories circulating in your own community. Have you witnessed a powerful act of kindness lately? Perhaps you've been the giver or the receiver of such an act. Share your reflections in the comments. Your experience could spark the next wave of compassion among our viewers. If you find yourself inspired to do more, remember that it doesn't require grand gestures or massive resources. Sometimes all it takes is a single kind act: helping someone who's short on cash, sending a supportive message to a friend in need, or volunteering an hour of your time for a local cause. Let Leah's story remind you that no gesture is too small. As we wrap up, think about how you can turn Leah Brown's experience into your own version of everyday heroism. Could you pay it forward at your local coffee shop, volunteer at an animal shelter, or donate gently used items to those who need them? The possibilities are endless, and the impact can be immeasurable. Remember to stay tuned to Motivation for Success for more uplifting tales. Our mission is to remind you of the strength in unity, the beauty in hope, and the profound change that can occur when we put our shared humanity first. Thank you for joining us for this remarkable account of one young woman's simple action and how it unexpectedly connected her with Barron Trump and Donald Trump. May it serve as a gentle nudge toward compassion in your own life. If this story moved you, consider spreading kindness today. Go out and make someone's day a little brighter. No cameras rolling, no headlines awaiting, just genuine, heartfelt care. Because as Leah's journey shows, what begins as a small gesture can unfold into a story that touches countless lives. Until next time, stay motivated, stay kind, and remember, the power to create positive change is in your hands.